Yes, Your Honor. May I ask how much time I have remaining?
5 minutes, 45 seconds.
May I proceed? Now, Mr. McIntosh, looking at things objectively, you're pretty biased towards the defendant in today's case, aren't you?
No, I wouldn't say so at all.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. The defendant is the reason you're here today in court testifying, isn't she?
Well, the main reason is because I love to investigate.
Maybe you didn't understand my question. The defendant is the reason.
That's not the reason.
Okay,
Counsel is testifying, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I was merely asking a question.
Argumentative and testimony by the counsel.
They don't argue with the witness. I'll sustain that objection.
The defendant is also the one who called and hired you on April 5th to clear up what happened.
No, that's not true.
The defendant didn't call and
No.
hire you? But the defendant is the one signing your paychecks, isn't she?
Well, I have a substantial income already from my business. This is mainly for a reason that I enjoy to investigate, and I have an interest in investigating crimes, and I like to come to the conclusions.
Directing your attention back to my question, the defendant is paying you, isn't that right?
For this case?
Yes.
In particular? Well, I'm being paid for my time here. I'm not being paid for my
So
testimony.
that's a yes, you're being paid by the defendant.
Yes, but it's nothing that would affect my testimony in any way.
And you conducted a series of interviews for your investigation, isn't that right?
Yes, I did.
Now, in a yes or no answer, did you or did you not interview Detective Randy Tawaliga?
No.
And did you or did you not interview Forsyth Sparks, the roommate of the deceased?
No, but I went over the police investigations interview of that.
And did you or did you not interview Mrs. Raven Feather, the owner of the Cherokee Rose?
I'm not aware she had anything to do with this crime or investigation, but no.
Now let's talk about the only two people in this courtroom today who you did feel it was necessary to interview. The only two people in this courtroom today who you did interview are the same two sitting on the defendant's side, along with yourself testifying. Talbot Varian and the defendant herself. Isn't that right?
Well, the thing is that you seem to be under the impression that all an investigation includes is an interview, but that's a very small part. But what you said was
correct. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the only two people in this courtroom
I already
today who you
answered
interviewed
that is correct.
was the defendant and Talbot Varian. Yes or no?
I'm sorry, I already said that was correct.
Okay, let's move on. The reason you needed to conduct these interviews is because you have absolutely no first-hand knowledge of this case at all, do you?
Firsthand? No, I'm the investigator.
Because you never got to see any photographs, right?
Yes, I was very, very ashamed by how Detective Tawaliga represented the police force.
And you never got to witness the crime scene before it had been cleaned up by the defendant, isn't that right?
Objection, argumentative, testifying, and speculation.
Your Honor, all of this was brought out on direct examination, and therefore on cross-examination I should be given the opportunity to discuss this.
The phrasing of counsel's question misleads the jury into believing that the defendant actually already cleaned up and set up the scene.
I'll overrule the objection.
I'll repeat my question. You never got to see the crime scene firsthand before it had been cleaned up by the defendant. Isn't that right, Mr. Mann?
I'm not aware who cleaned it up.
But you never got to see the crime scene firsthand.
No, not firsthand. I'm the investigator, like I stated.
And you never got to witness the autopsy firsthand either, did you?
No, but I was able to review the medical report.
Excellent. So then you now would know that one of the bullets entered the victim's back, right?
Yes, that was a graze wound caused by the recoil from the first shot to the right shoulder.
So you're telling the court today that in a self-defense case, the victim was shot by the defendant in the back? Is that right?
You seem to be under the impression that he was shot in the back. No, that was a graze wound, so he was mainly shot from the side.
Entered the back of the defendant.
He was shot from the side.
Isn't that right?
He was shot from the side.
But it entered the back, didn't it?
It grazed the back. It didn't enter
And
the
the
back.
other bullet wound shot by the defendant entered the front. Isn't that right?
It entered just below the right clavicle, severing the subclavian.
On the front of the body. Isn't that right?
Yes, that's true.
And so you're telling the court today that within the split second that the fanning occurred, the defendant managed to spin the body so that the deceased was hit in the back and then in the front? Isn't that right?
I don't know if you've ever seen a body hit by a Colt 45, but yes.
Let's move on. You used to work at Art Investigators, right? Or rather, you used to work at the Atlanta Police Department, isn't that right?
Yes, the crime scene unit.
You worked as a crime scene investigator, right?
Yes, I did.
And you felt that you possessed super crime investigation skills, isn't that right?
I wouldn't characterize it that way, no.
You wouldn't characterize it that way.
Not exactly in those words.
But the other crime scene investigators at the Atlanta Police Department, they didn't think you had these skills because they laughed at your suggestions, didn't they? Your Honor, this goes directly to the credibility of the witness and his ability to conduct a proper examination if other crime scene investigators laugh at his suggestions.
The opinions of people not parties to today's case is irrelevant to today's case.
Your Honor, once again, this goes to his ability to conduct a proper examination. If other police officers and crime scene investigators don't feel that he can do so, it's directly relevant.
Your Honor, he was tendered and accepted as an expert without objection.
I sustain the objection.
You read a book that changed your life, isn't it?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
You're not sure if you read a book that changed your
Relevance?
life? And once again, this goes directly to the credibility of the witnesses. He read a fictional novel that changed his life and therefore made him want to become an investigator, and therefore he's relying on this novel for his investigations.
Your Honor, the investigator's reading knowledge in a book that he read are irrelevant to today's case and his investigations.
I overrule the objection.
Okay. I'll repeat my question. You read a book that changed your life, isn't that right?
Well, I guess you could sort of say that, yes.
And that book was the Da Vinci Code, isn't that right?
Well, that book, and in conjunction with some of the other changes I've seen in my life, I had just graduated from college, and I had won the lottery.
Maybe you didn't understand my question. That book was the Da Vinci Code, isn't that right?
Which book?
The book that changed your life. That was
You could say that, yes.
Now, Art Investigators Incorporated has a pretty slow business, doesn't it?
No, not exactly.
Well, in the 2 years that you've worked there, you've managed to recover a total of 3 missing paintings. Isn't that
I
right?
haven't worked there. I started that business many years ago.
All right, in the 2 years that you started the business,
It
you
wasn't
managed
2
to
years.
recover. In the time that you started the business, you've managed to recover a total of 3 missing paintings. Isn't that right?
Well, the thing is that the missing paintings is not all that we've
3 missing
done.
paintings.
In locating missing paintings, yes, we've located 3 missing
Thank you
paintings.
very much.
That's not all of what we do.